And I'm curious, like about Acapella, like how is it going for you right now? This product market fit and your niche, because as you said, like challenging Slack is it's a fucking big challenge.
It's a huge challenge. I would be curious though, on your website, you talk a lot about how you improve the quality of the video and you have like all kinds of split screens and stuff. Yeah, like I guess what's the magic behind there, or what did you feel was missing from the existing solutions to build something like this?
Yeah, millions of little men running behind, making everything happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was a try for a joke. Yeah, it's like the idea of Welder was that we actually, like when the COVID stuff happened, our team went remote and we wanted to create content because we were like, okay, so if we want to like create products, either bootstrapped or even VC backed, or do contracts, whatever, like we would love to have others knowing more about us, like and understand us, who we are. So maybe they will be like, oh, these guys are cool, like I want to hire them or whatever. And we started creating calls on, like recording calls on Zoom, and the quality was really bad. And we were like, okay, there is this video of Bill Gates and Trevor Noah talking in amazing quality. And I was like, wow, how did they do it? And then we're like, yeah, like they have huge set teams, right, that will make it happen. But it's actually pretty simple. Just let's just record locally on each end. And that's what Welder do. It records locally on your end and on my end, upload it to the cloud, and you get the full quality of the video that you can then stitch together, and you have a content out of it.
Okay, got it. So basically, the point there is instead of recording whatever gets sent to the other side, you just record the sort of the natural output from my browser, whatever comes from the media recorder, and then upload that.
Yeah, it's like that.
Did you have any companies that you looked at as role models when building Welder?
No, not that much.
Okay.
Like maybe like Basecamp, but that's kind of holy grail for everyone doing bootstrap business. And we started Welder as a bootstrap business. So yes, but also no. We built products for 7 years now, so we get a lot of our own experience how to build these. And even though we learn on each of these products a lot.
Okay, fair. No, but yeah, I mean, like I have been through a similar journey. I also started the company after finishing my master's and doing a bit of research. I started the company in the deep learning space. So basically applying some of the theoretical knowledge that I received while doing research in the deep learning space, and then we started to build also a bootstrap company. Interesting takeaway for me was I would have raised VC money way earlier.
Really?
Because it allows you to fail faster.
Yeah, that's true. And like,
yeah,
go. Sorry.
So I mean, that's the point, right? Like you only have one life. Why waste 2 times more of your super valuable time trying to build a company that's not going to work out? If VC money basically just accelerates your current trajectory. And if the trajectory is failure, it's going to accelerate that. If the trajectory is, really sort of already you found something and then you add money on top, you're just going to, scale way faster. So it's really a booster. It doesn't really change whether you're going to be successful or not, which I think is something that a lot of people get wrong.
That's interesting attitude. Yeah, but it's true. Like it allows you to do exactly this. For me, it was also an issue of like the if I really want to be committed to it that much, if I really want to be committed to building well, because for the VC money, yes, exactly, it accelerates your path. But I was not sure, and our whole team was not sure if we want to really take it that big, and together with that, the VC kind of backed way, or the funded way, in my eyes, is that you really need to take it. Like it's the investor's game. It's their numbers. Like they want those unicorns. It makes their game happen.
They're not going to invest if they don't see like a $1 billion outcome in your company,
Exactly.
which I think is something that you need to decide up front whether
Yeah.
you want to go for that kind of company or not.
And so, for example, with your project, and I'm curious about to hear more about Acapella and
Hmm.
also about your previous project.
Hmm.
Like, do you feel that? Do you feel yourself that you want to take this project that big, that you are like so committed to make this happen? If that it will be happening, to push and give it everything to make that happen. And
Oh,
would you do it?
100%.
Would you do it on the first
Uh-huh.
startup as well?
100%. So
Cool.
I wish I would have accepted VC money for my first startup. I think it would have accelerated my learnings much faster. Um, and for this startup, it was always a all or nothing case. I mean, we're building a product which is supposed to replace Slack, and you need a lot of money to make that
Mm-hmm.
vision,
Mm-hmm.
come true. So we never meant to bootstrap. We never meant to sort of build slowly and steadily. We always just wanted to use however resources needed to try to get to the market the fastest, and just basically build faster, build better product faster,
Mm-hmm.
and VC money does allow you to do that. It's just that you need a very strong vision, you need a bold vision, and then you need great people to help you execute on the vision. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for Acapella, it was never an option for us to bootstrap. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we made the decision even before starting the company. We had this conversation, and it's a conversation that I should have had it before starting my previous company. It was something that I disagreed on with my previous co-founder,
Mm-hmm.
and we should have had that conversation earlier.
Mm. And so how is it going for you right now? Like, what's the stage of Acapella, and like, if you are of course open about it, and again, this doesn't need to be anywhere, you can say it, and you don't have to like, what's your stage of funding, and what's your short term, mid term, long term plan?
So I would say, we were in a slightly unique position with my co-founder with Acapella. I started the company before, and
Love the name,
and
by the way. Sorry. Really cool name.
thank you. But yeah, so basically, I started the company before and sold my shares in the last company. So it was a semi-successful exit, not a life-changing event, but still a successful exit. And also my co-founder co-founded Dubsmash, which was
Mm-hmm.
basically a predecessor to TikTok,
Yeah.
which was sold to Reddit last year. So it was just we both had both being second-time founders, we had the luxury to raise a large round before having a product,
Mm-hmm.
and and we also did that. We raised our first round 1 month after starting the company. We raised close to $3 million,
Mm-hmm.
and basically now we are building the team and building the product with that money, and it sort of gives us the luxury to basically experiment much faster.
So
Uh,
okay, that's cool. So you are pre product market fit.
we are definitely pre-product market. I mean, the moment we raised the round, we were pre-product. So right now we're in the stage of finding product market fit, but you never know how long it's going to take. So it's nice to have this sort of
Yeah,
large
definitely.
stash of financing to not have to worry about it so soon again.
Yeah, that actually and that's another super interesting point, because, for example, and you are from Berlin, and are
So
you?
I live in Berlin. My co-founder also lives in Berlin. Yeah.
Yeah, because for here in Prague, in Czech Republic, like, I talk to the VCs, and I'm not sure if that's the European mindset of the VCs, but they are really uncomfortable to give money to startup that are pre-product market fit, and you try to
Oh,
explain them
absolutely,
really hard. Like, but we are going to like, we are on the journey to find product market fit, and they are like, so how are you going to
absolutely.
scale it? Scale it? And I'm like,
Absolutely,
I
but like
don't.
the point is, most European investors are trying to have as little risk as
Yeah.
possible, whereas the U.S. investors are looking. I want to bet on the biggest potential outcomes, no matter what is the risk in the current stage
Mm-hmm.
of investment. I mean, look at Y Combinator. Like they want to invest into super bold ideas, no matter in which stage they are. So yes, you have way less information to work with if you're if you're founding people at sort of the idea stage. But at the same time, if you find the best ideas and best founding teams, you're still going to have a much better return than a VC betting on,
Yeah.
mediocre outcomes, even while taking less risk with the investment. So, it's definitely a mindset difference. But I would say there are some VCs in Europe that are also much more aiming at those very large outcomes. And I think the mentality is slowly also coming here. It's just
Yeah.
that the big problem is that most European venture capitalists are still sort of old white guys who used to work at McKinsey for 10 years and then became partners at VC firms.
Yeah.
And obviously, then how much do you know about building startups? You know about how to optimize sort of old school companies which sort of don't work in the first place. So it's just a very different ecosystem here. Whereas
So
like if you go to the valley, all the best investors are former founders. That's super
yeah,
rare in
and
Europe.
that's true. That is super rare, and it's super like you really want that, right? Because like if you are not ex-founder, you really don't understand what's happening. Like
Oh,
there is a
absolutely.
lot. And so how is the product market fit finding working for you right now, and how long are you in it? Because with Welder, we kind of I'm like Welder is pretty simple tool. You just want to deliver that reliable, that simple remote recording in high quality, right? And that's it. And that's kind of the product market fit, and it showed. But it was also, I'm actually not sure if we found it. But the
I
definition
mean,
by YC is that you have enough cash rolling in that you like. So maybe we
you're
didn't.
ramen profitable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, exactly. I mean, my sort of 5 second analysis of Boulder and why it didn't work out was you built cool technology, but you did not focus on like one super specific use case,
Yeah, exactly. A niche, totally. Yeah,
and that's always a problem.
yeah, it is.
Um, I just like when I think of Boulder, the closest company that I think about is the Script. They started
Hmm.
with trying to making podcasts easier. It was a super niche use case. I mean, the guys, they started out in 2016 when podcasting was still a super niche thing to do. They just sort of took this sort of early trend. They realized it's going to be a big thing. Um, Making podcasts back then was super hacky. You had to like mess around with sort of GarageBand or whatnot. It was just a lot of manual work, and then they built this amazing piece of software to basically automate all of that. And now they built good software, they built a great product, and also the podcasting market is taking off like crazy, and we're only at the beginning of it. And they have really capitalized on that. I
Mm.
think I would have really looked at how the Script sort of approached company building and product building, and then try to apply the same aspects to like a small segment of the video making market.
Mm.
There's another company by two ex-Googlers called Capwing, and
Yeah, I know
they're
it.
building this sort of small video
Mm.
editing company in the browser. And they started off with, I think, helping people making memes easier. Such
Yeah.
a trivial first use case, but
Mm.
it was a real problem because the previous tools were all like super hacky. So
Mm.
you just take something like super nichey and you start building a great product for that use case, and then you start expanding from there. So I think that's always the most foolproof way how to build something great.
Yeah, we tried it with Welder with podcasters, but
Mm-hmm.
you find quickly that podcasters are not having enough cash flow, kind of like to pay for this service. And also, I believe we were not, to be honest, not enough passionate about the podcasting industry, about the niche, to really dive deep and be super deep in the community. And it would be so much easier if I would be some really passionate podcaster for 5 years, and
Yeah.
ideally with thousands of followers, like it would be boom. But it's
Oh,
not, and I'm not
absolutely.
passionate about it. So that's also challenging, right? So, and I'm curious, like about Acapella, like how is it going for you right now? This product market fit and your niche, because as you said, like challenging Slack. is is a fucking big challenge.
It's a huge challenge, but what makes it easier is I absolutely hate using Slack, so it's a huge
Okay,
motivator for me to build something better in this place.
nice.
I also absolutely hate on being meetings all day long. Another
Hmm.
huge motivator for me to build something to solve that problem. So I am building something which I desperately want in my life. I
Yeah,
you know
nice.
I'm an engineer by training. I love building great products, and honestly, I love writing code still a lot, even though that's not what I do all day long anymore. And basically, how do you write great code? You do that with a focus time.
Hmm.
And when I talk to my friends who sort of had to go into this remote setting, and then when they told me the how their product managers and who not schedules calls for them all day long, you're never gonna be able to
Mm.
concentrate in that way of working. And so first it resonated with me, but then also people close to me were having the exact same problems. That
Mm.
was a huge motivator for me to build something totally new in this space. So I think you're like you're super spot on. You need to love the problem that you're
Yeah,
solving.
definitely.
I think it's also Weiss's advice, like fall in love with the problem, not the solution.
Yeah,
And
that's yeah, exactly. Like we
exactly.
found
And
that many. Yeah.
programmers have a lot of ego involved with the things that they build,
Mm.
and you cannot be a great product engineer if you are afraid to throw away your work. Like I would say 95% of all the code that I've written in my life has been thrown away,
Mm.
and I'm completely fine with that because my goal is to build stuff that people like,
Mm.
and if my code is not serving that purpose,
Mm.
then I'm completely chilled to throw it away. But a lot of engineers, they just want to build beautiful software, and they don't really care what happens to it. So it's just a very different mindset to building. And
Definitely.
I that's also a very big difference between a lot of European startups and US startups, and especially the engineering mentality. I often see in European companies engineers being just sort of closing GitHub issues that the
Yeah.
PM creates them.
Yeah.
Whereas in Silicon Valley, the engineers are part product managers. They
Hmm.
figure out what is going to have the biggest impact on the product. And I absolutely try to advocate bringing this sort of product engineering mentality also to Europe. But then it is rather difficult to find engineers that actually care about it. So it's a two-sided problem.
That's really interesting. So many interesting thoughts. Like definitely the issue with developers having the focus time, not having the focus time right now. I have it with my two co-founders, and I believe you spoke with Marek.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, and like I'm writing them so much sometimes, and I just don't think about it. It's distracting them, or setting meetings, and they just like fuck man, no, like I need focus, and it's
Exactly.
exactly what you say.
People do
Um,
not realize it, but I don't have any notifications that would sort of ping. There are
mm,
no sounds in my life. There are no pop-up notifications. I only check into stuff once I wanna intentionally check into what other people have contributed. And so basically, there are so few problems in life which are urgent,
mm,
and the big problem is that most people think that most things that they need are urgent.
yeah,
That's not the case. Uh, and then, sort of the main thing is like if something is urgent, everyone in my team has my phone number. They just call me, and then we deal with this if it's urgent. And then it's a good enough justification to sort of get me out of my focus time. But sort of 98% of all the issues that or questions that people have to me, they're not urgent, and they can wait a few hours until when I am sort of mentally open to
mm,
deal with all of the incoming stuff, and sort of I want to
yeah,
build a tool which would enable that for everyone, and it's crazy how distractive Slack is. I don't realize how companies are shipping anything right now if they're using Slack.
yeah,
So
exactly.
it's I think I really resonate with the people that that are working remotely, and especially engineers. I'm an
Mm.
engineer myself, so that's sort of the user group that I feel most strongly connected to as well. And then, if you know exactly who to build, then, in my case, it's myself and also a lot of my friends, then
Mm.
it's a lot easier to,
Yeah. So,
be motivated, but also know what to build. Yeah.
yeah. So you are right now building the tool for engineers, but like they are working in teams. So are you scoping your focus on like smaller teams, or like what who you are targeting right now with the tool? Who you in what hands do you give the tool to test it out?
The tool is targeted towards either fully remote or hybrid companies,
Hmm.
um, because the workflow is fairly similar. Every conversation should be documented so that other people would be able to have part in the discussion. And so yes, there's a heavy focus on developers, but then you nailed it. Developers are used to working asynchronously. There's a lot of things happening currently already, on GitHub pull reviews, or happening even in Slack threads. It's still an asynchronous way of working. And so the question is, how do you enable that kind of working for other people? What's the difference between other people and developers? A big difference is other people are not so used to working asynchronously. And secondly, typically non-developer roles are not so great writers. Developers are used to writing documentation. They're used to building long ass design documentation and sort of whatever system architecture, whatnot. They're super fine to just create a beautiful doc for an hour and then
Hmm.
share it with other people. And then the question is, how do you enable that kind of working for other functionalities?
Hmm.
And there, the thing is, you just have to meet the people to what they know how to do, and that's by bringing in sort of more natural ways to communicate,
Yeah.
which more naturally is video and audio. It's like
Yeah.
like
Speaking and like
we
sharing empathy and everything.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But the thing is, you can do that in an asynchronous manner. It doesn't need to be a
Hmm.
video call.
Definitely.
And this is why also Acapella has a strong focus
Mm.
on video and audio. And yes, people read text much faster than they listen or watch.
Listening.
And this is
Mm.
also why there's a very strong focus on transcription, because sort
Okay.
of text is
Makes
always
sense.
the lowest common denominator of
Mm.
information.
Yeah, it's true. And also, what was interesting that you said, and it's still in my head, is that the developers in Europe are more like kind of sitting in their own space, writing the code,
Hmm.
not caring that much if the code is actually useful. They just love being in the code, and that's true. Like I know so many of these developers, and for example,
Hmm.
what I love about my two co-founders is they are really like
Hmm.
business. Their mindset is really on the business side, on the side
Yeah.
that like
Hmm.
really okay, like does it make sense, and if it makes sense, how can I do it the fastest way, and if work doesn't,
Hmm.
okay, throw it away. And this mindset is
Hmm.
kind of challenging, but this mindset also means, and that's also interesting for the communication, that they need to be
Hmm.
in a pretty close relationship with the business or product people, or even like the customers, or like so,
Hmm.
and that means being kind of out of their comfort focus zone and being more into touch with the customers, which for example I have
Hmm.
sometimes issue with Mark and Preproduct. Like I'm sending them some screenshot
Yeah.
documents, feedbacks, and they just don't read it, and I'm like, fuck, you
Yeah.
need to read
Yeah.
it, because then you don't know what to build. So that's
Yeah.
challenge.
Absolutely. This is also a big reason why I try to find teammates, or basically I try to find candidates to interview either from very product focused companies. There are a few in Europe which do have this sort of strong product engineering mindset. A good example is, for example, TransferWise or now Wise.
Okay. Hmm.
Or and the second is exactly former founders. If you're an engineer who has started the company before,
Yeah,
you had to learn it the hard way,
exactly.
to build stuff that people want, because otherwise you're just you're building something and it's not working out, and then you need to
Yeah.
get a job, right? So you
Exactly.
basically, yeah, you had to learn talking to customers the hard way.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. Yeah, I love this. Cool. So what's your like? Do you still have time? You said, do you have something at 4? So I do.
I have an interview in 1 minute, so I do have to drop very soon.
Okay, so I think we can end it here. It was like amazing chat. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think we can chat some more maybe sometime. There's so
Absolutely,
much. There's so much.
absolutely. There's a lot to talk about. So also very much enjoy the conversation, and yeah, would also love to meet all of your co-founders.